Some crime scenes don't just disturb you, they stay with you. They cling to the back of your mind, waiting for the quiet moments to return. Detectives often say that most murders fade with time. The blood dries, the files close, and life moves on. But not this one. This was the scene that every investigator tried to forget and failed. It began on a cold Thursday morning, when Detective Rowan Hart received a call he would later describe as the beginning of the end of my sleep. The dispatcher didn't say much, only that a neighbor had reported a strange smell coming from a small house at the far end of Alder Ridge, a peaceful neighborhood, a quiet street, a place where nothing dramatic ever happened. But when Rowan stepped inside that house, the silence felt unnatural. Too perfect, too still, the kind of stillness that isn't calm, but dead. What struck him first wasn't the body. It was the arrangement. The house looked staged, as if someone had tried to erase all signs of struggle, but failed to erase the feeling, that thick, heavy presence of something terribly wrong. A candle still burned on the coffee table, its wax dripping in long, slow streams. A TV remote rested neatly beside it, untouched. A mug of tea sat on a coaster, steam long gone, but positioned so precisely it felt like a photograph. And then there was the body. The victim, a 34-year-old woman named Elise Warren, lay in the center of the living room floor, positioned almost gracefully, hands folded, legs straight, hair brushed neatly to the side. There were no violent wounds visible, no chaos, no blood spatter, no overturned furniture. Just her, lying there, as if placed by someone who didn't want her to look dead. Detective Rowan froze. He didn't understand it, not at first. But something about this scene burned itself into him instantly. Because this wasn't murder born from rage. This was murder born from obsession. The medical team scanned the room. Everything was orderly, almost too orderly. A faint floral scent lingered in the air, not from the candle but from something sprayed across the room. The windows were shut, the curtains drawn, and on the wall behind Elise was a single handprint. But not in blood. In dust, a perfectly formed handprint, as though someone had pressed their palms slowly, intentionally against the wall, leaving behind the outline of quiet possession. Rowan stepped closer. The handprint wasn't smudged. It wasn't rushed. It was deliberate, like someone had taken their time to leave a mark that investigators would never forget. And when the forensic team compared it, they made a chilling discovery. The print didn't match Elise. It didn't match anyone in the house. It belonged to a man Elise didn't know. And yet, the handprint was clean, precise, almost ceremonial. As Rowan looked around, he noticed something else. Near the couch, placed in the shadow of the end table, was a photograph. Not of Elise, but of the living room itself. A picture of this very room, taken from an angle only someone inside the house could have taken. And in that photograph, Elise wasn't there. The picture showed the same candle, the same mug, the same curtains, the same neat arrangement. It was the room before the murder. Someone had photographed the scene, placed it exactly where detectives would find it, and then positioned Elise's body to match the composition of the room, as though she was the final piece the killer added. Rowan's breath caught. This wasn't just a crime. This was someone's artwork. When detectives searched Elise's bedroom, they found something even more disturbing. Her wardrobe was rearranged. Clothes sorted by color, by fabric type, by length. Shoes lined with military precision. Even her jewelry tray was reorganized into shapes and patterns that Elise's best friend later confirmed she never created herself. The killer hadn't just entered the house. He had spent time inside, time enough to learn Elise's space, and then reshape it. Neighbors reported seeing nothing unusual. No screams, no noises, no suspicious visitors. But one detail stood out. 3 nights earlier, someone had seen Elise standing in her window, motionless, staring into the street. The neighbor waved. Elise did not respond. She just stood there, like a silhouette, waiting. Investigators questioned whether this was even Elise or the killer. Setting the stage. Back in the living room, Rowan crouched beside the body, studying Elise's expression. She didn't look terrified. She didn't even look startled. Instead, there was a faint line near her brow, softened now, but visible enough to tell a story. She had cried before she died, quietly, silently, not out of fear, but heartbreak. On her wrist, detectives found a faint bruise, not from violence but from restraint. A gentle restraint, as if someone had held her arm, not with force, but with control. And then came the final, chilling clue of part 1. Tucked beneath Elise's hand was a single sheet of paper. Not a letter, not a confession, not a message, just a date, written in tiny, perfect handwriting. 11:57 p.m. I waited. No signature, no meaning, no explanation, but Detective Rowan felt something shift inside him. Because that timestamp was 3 minutes before midnight. 3 minutes before her smart home system recorded the last movement in the house. 3 minutes before Elise's life ended. And someone who knew she wouldn't survive, wrote those words as if they were recording a moment they treasured. This wasn't just murder. This was a ritual. And Elise wasn't the first intended victim. She was just the first they found. Detective Rowan stared at that tiny piece of paper for a long time. 11:57 p.m. I waited. The handwriting was clean, almost beautiful, like someone who had practiced it again and again. It didn't feel like a note left in panic. It felt like a signature without a name, a moment someone wanted preserved. But preserved for who? For the police? For himself? For Elise? That question became the driving force of the investigation. Over the next week, Rowan studied every detail of the room again. The candle, the mug, the unnervingly perfect arrangement of furniture, the single handprint on the wall. But something kept bothering him. The tea, that cup of tea on the coaster. It wasn't just made, it was prepared with care, milk stirred in a slow, circular pattern. No lipstick on the rim, no fingerprints other than Elise's, except faint traces of someone wiping the cup clean. Which meant the killer didn't just tidy the house after the murder. He sat with Elise, drank tea with her, talked to her, calmed her. This wasn't a burglary gone wrong. It wasn't a sudden attack. It was someone who wanted a moment, a shared moment before ending her life. Rowan knew then, the killer wasn't hiding rage. He was hiding loneliness. Forensic teams discovered something else. In the photograph, found near the couch, the composition of the room wasn't random. The angle was the same one Elise often used in her social media photos. She would capture the sunset light, hitting the wall, creating a warm glow, and the killer somehow copied her style perfectly. Someone had been watching her online. Not stalking in the shadows, but studying her through her own posts, learning her preferences, her aesthetic, her patterns of comfort. But if that was true, why kill her? The breakthrough came from an unexpected place. The dust handprint. Forensics enhanced it, checking for unusual textures, scars, or patterns. And they found something no one expected, a faint indentation across the top of the palm, the kind created by someone who wore gloves frequently. Not normal gloves. Work gloves. Construction. Carpentry. Warehouse labor. But there was more. A second indentation, diagonal, thinner, the exact mark left by people who carry heavy tool belts daily. There were only 9 such workers in Elise's neighborhood. 8 had alibis, 1 did not. His name was Mason Locke, a 38-year-old maintenance worker who repaired old houses, lived alone, and had no criminal record. A quiet face no one remembered. A man who melted into the background. Rowan requested his work schedule. And that's when the truth cracked open. Mason had been inside Elise's house. Legally, 2 months earlier, she had requested a repair for a water leak in the laundry room. For Elise, it was a forgettable interaction. For Mason, it wasn't. When detectives searched Mason's small, dim apartment, they found nothing that screamed guilt. No trophies, no belongings of Elise, no weapons, just a place stripped of personality. A TV, a bed, a single mug, a stack of folded clothes, silence everywhere. But his closet told the real story. Inside were dozens of photographs. Not of Elise, not of other women, but of empty rooms, living rooms, kitchens, bedrooms, all arranged with precise perfection, not staged violently, but gently, lovingly. Rooms where no one lived anymore. Apartments cleaned out after breakups, homes after families moved away, places left abandoned by tenants. He took pictures of emptiness. Rowan's chest tightened. This wasn't a sexual predator. This wasn't a vengeful killer. This was someone who feared being forgotten. Someone who collected stillness because he didn't know how to collect people. But near the back of the closet, hidden inside a brown envelope, was the image that mattered most. A photo of Elise's living room, taken weeks before she died. And in that photo, there was something horrifying. A shadow. A faint silhouette. Standing in the hallway. Not Elise. Not any visitor. A shape watching her. The timestamp confirmed the nightmare. 2 weeks before the murder, Mason was already inside her house, quietly exploring her world, capturing it, memorizing it. Detectives arrested him the same evening. He didn't run. He didn't deny anything. He simply looked at Rowan and said, "I wish you had come earlier." In the interrogation room, Rowan asked him one question. Why her? Mason stared at the table for a long time before answering. "She looked sad," he whispered. "Not loud sadness, the quiet kind. The kind I understand." Rowan felt anger rise in him. "That doesn't explain anything." Mason nodded softly. "She left her window open the day I repaired her laundry room. I saw the way her room was arranged. The balance, the calm. I thought, maybe she understood silence the way I do." Rowan leaned forward. "You planned the murder?" "No," Mason shook his head slowly. "I planned the moment. The rest just happened." "What do you mean?" "She cried," Mason said, voice trembling. "She told me she felt empty. I didn't want to hurt her. I wanted to fix the moment, freeze it, make it still, before it changed." "You killed her?" Rowan hissed. Mason nodded once. "She was leaving, standing up, walking away from the moment. I couldn't let it break." And then came the most terrifying line of the entire case. People ruin moments, but when they stop moving, the moment stays. That sentence would haunt Rowan for the rest of his life. During the trial, Mason never fought the charges. He pled guilty. Showed no excitement, no remorse, only exhaustion. Like someone who finally finished something he had been carrying alone. After the sentencing, Rowan visited Elise's home one last time. The furniture had been moved back, the candle removed, the mug washed, the room restored. But even then, Rowan felt something lingering. Not a presence, not a ghost, just the memory of stillness, the kind that makes a room unforgettable. He turned off the lights, took a final breath, and closed the door behind him. But the truth was simple. There are crime scenes you forget, and there are crime scenes that follow you home. This one never stopped following him.